Hi and welcome to JB Tooltech. My name's Rowan and I'm here to show you a short video. We recently had a request from a customer for some tooling. Now rather than just whack all that tooling onto a crate and ship it to the customer did want a solution, and the solution was they were working on a remote site, two different sites, and we were to provide the equipment to those sites. So we thought rather than just put it on a pallet, we'd go ahead and come up with a full turnkey package. So this is what we've done. I've got Josh here filming, so we're just going to take you through what we've done. We'll walk across. We have two separate containers that we've cut down from 20 foot to 10 foot for the two different sites. And most of this equipment that are in these containers we'll go through with you in a second. Here we have Tony Ramsey from JB Tooltech. Tony, how are you going? Okay, so the equipment we've got here is Boltight equipment out of the UK. And we're going to briefly have a chat, Tony and I, about this equipment, what it does and how it works. So Tony, I can see here we've got different size tensioners. So with these tensioners, they're obviously, if I read the description, they are oversized for gal bolts, gal studs. So, and we have, for the different size gal studs, we have the different size tensioners. Here's a 2-inch, this one is 1.5 inch tensioner. The 1500 bar, I can see that written on there. And the tensioners come as a complete system. So with this system, we have many tensioners there. Why do we have so many tensioners if we're doing a certain amount of bolts? How does that work?
Well, basically, what we have here for starters is a complete package to do tensioning from 1.25 inch to 2 inch.
Okay. Yep.
Basically, the bolts or the studs are galvanised, coated with a galvanised coating on a CPP, which is a central processing plant on a gas project. The reason why we've got so many is basically when the guys are doing the tensioning, they want to do what they call 50% tensioning. So if there's 20 studs, then they want 10 tensioners. So every second stud will have a tensioner on it.
Oh, okay.
So they can get even load when the flange comes in together, which helps them eliminate leaking.
Okay, so what they're trying to do is get an even clamp load so that the tensioners, they all work together and in series. Okay, so with the tensioner, just a brief explanation. Okay, we have a puller that we screw onto the stud. That looks pretty simple to me. On the bottom, that matches to an AF size of the bolt, obviously, with a 2-inch stud. Okay, so we have that. And then what our aim is, I suppose, and I'll get you to confirm that, is we're going to apply a hydraulic pressure to this tensioner.
Yeah, basically it's hooked up to a hose, and once all the tensioners are on the flange, then we can start tensioning. And what happens is the cylinder here, which is a hydraulic part of the tool, will have a 10mm stroke, so it'll go up by 10mm of stroke, and then we just use our Tommy bars to tighten it up, and we're away, we're done.
Okay, so really the amount of pressure that we apply will have some sort of tension and torque information that the engineer's already calculated out. So he gives us the pressures.
They'll have a pre-calculated formula.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty good. As we can see, the equipment looks first class. It looks very well made. It's all made in England. Now, Tony, if I was paying this money for this type of equipment, is there any documentation that tells me what this says it can do? How do we get that information?
That's a good question, Ron. This industry is very good with the test certificates. Boltight provide us with certificates and press certificates for everything. So we've got everything from
all the serial numbers there, yeah.
Yeah, all the serial numbers, all the equipment. So we've got the pumps, so they're all tested. We've got the actual the tensioners are all tested, and obviously the hoses are all tested as well, and they all come with test certificates before they leave the UK.
Okay, so if we're doing 50% tensioning on a 20 stud flange, we're going to interconnect these hoses between the 10 tensioners.
These are what
they're
they call
interconnection hoses.
Interconnecting hoses, so that'll go from tensioner to tensioner.
Okay.
And then the last one will hook up to a T-block, and it'll go onto the link hose, which is on the wall there.
Okay.
And then that goes back to the pump, and then that gives you a full circuit.
Okay, so these are the pumps that we're going to be using with the tensioners, and these pumps are obviously air pumps.
Yep, they're air pumps. They're 1500 bar pumps or 21,750 psi.
And they just run on a normal compressor that's capable of 90 psi?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. So that's the pumps. They all have their own certification as well?
Certainly.
Gauges and
Yep.
pressures and things
all
like
the
that?
gauges and the pumps have all been certified and tested before they come out to Australia. And also we test them again once they're in our workshop to make sure everything's okay.
So we put oil in and run the pumps and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do?
Always have oil in.
Okay, so what you're telling me, the tensioners are all load tested?
Yep.
The pumps are all pressure tested?
Correct.
The hoses are all burst tested? Correct. So we've really covered off all those bases, haven't we?
Yes, it's a key requirement for the industry.
All right. Well, what about the service aspect of these tensioners, Tony? Because obviously the guys have made up a bench here that allow you to get the tensioners off out of the cabinets onto the bench, ready to go. So if they were going to replace a seal or whatever, what do we do?
Look, basically, there's not much really goes wrong with a tensioner. Look, you might blow a seal here and there, but look, the guys are capable to replace the seals on site.
Yep.
We supply the guys with a test block and a stud, so they can put the tensioner on the block and wind the pressure up and make sure there's no leaking. So they're all self-sufficient on site. We've got to keep in mind that these guys are pretty much in the middle of Australia and miles away from any service shop, so they need to be self-sufficient.
Now, Tony, one of the most important things I find in this type of process is documentation. You know, we want to look after the operators. We want to make sure the health and safety stuff's been looked after, the maintenance requirements have been adhered to, all that sort of stuff. As far as what they do as a basic service, is that provided to us from Boltight, or how do we get that?
Oh, look, Boltight are very, very good with that. We have here is obviously the test certificates, but we also have operation manuals on how to operate the tools, health and safety, which is obviously paramount in any industry. So, look, it'd be a requirement to go through, read this, all before you start operating the tooling, the safety aspects, and how to operate the tooling.
Okay. Now, is there any sort of particular drawings on operational use? Oh, yeah. Okay. So we've got steps that we need to follow in order to be able to achieve what we set out to achieve. So that looks like we've covered off that base as far as all that documentation. Now, I suppose we've really spoken about most things with the container and how it's set up and how we've got the workbench and the different areas, and we've got oversized gel and we've got standard size here. Joyce, did we mention the standard size ones that we have?
Basically, the oversized ones are for the CPP, the Central Processing Plant, and the standard ones are mainly used on the FCS, which is the Fuel Compressor Station. Okay.
Now, I just noticed too that we have some torque wrenches here that are locked in. These are Tanishi branded. It's another product sold by JB Tooltech. So what are the requirements and why do they have these torque wrenches available?
It's basically on the smaller size studs. So,
yep. Just a verification?
It's just the 5/8 and 7/8 studs only has a small torque load, so it's mainly done by a hand torque.
So that covers off the small studs?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's packaged away so it's not going to move around in transport. And yeah, really, I think we've covered every base. So, what we've done here, because I'm not going to put that in now, it's too hard, but what we've done here, we've put together this package for the customer. We hope the customer is very happy with what we've provided, and we hope that everything we've said has been complimentary to the Boltight product, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.